Hi, welcome to Penzi Halisi. I'm your host, Julia Omore, and today we have Mr. and Mrs. Ken Achega, and he has such an amazing story, and he will really tell us about what he went through. And again, Ken is Luya, married to a Kikuyu, and they'll tell us the experience, So karibuni sana. Thank you so much. I know you're so busy. Thank you so much for just availing yourself and just coming to share your testimony. I believe so many people will be blessed. Karibuni sana. Yeah. So you can introduce yourself, the names you use. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to come, just inviting us to share our testimony. My name is Kenneth Iduvula. Iduvula Achega. Yeah, and I'm born again. I am a pastor and a worship leader. Yeah, but I'm also a father and a husband to one woman wife. Yeah. Wow. She's the one. She'll introduce herself.
Okay, my name is Grace Njeri Iduvula. Ken Iduvula is my husband.
Wow.
We are blessed with 2 children.
Wow.
I'm a teacher by profession.
Wow. Wow. Karibuni
and
sana.
above it all, I love Christ.
Oh, I love the way you just love Christ and the way you do your worship. Ken, unaweza tuambia ka hallelujah kadogo. You can sing for, you're the best worship leader. So you can kidogo tu tuimbie ka hallelujah, just kidogo tu.
Maybe I can sing the song that has is that like the testimony that when I was out of COVID and all that. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God.
Wow, that's amazing. Yes. That's amazing. But they Ken had COVID, and he will tell us how it was. Like what he went through. At times we really don't know what people are going through, but it's also good. But before that, tell us about now marrying a Kikuyu. As Kikuyus, where?
I remember it was a season at after the post-election, things were very bad. The 207 was just crazy, and it's the time we were dating. But thank God, because my late mom really accepted Grace into the family. I would bring her home, hang out with her, talk about politics sometimes, talk about Raila, talk about Kibaki, Of course, everybody had their preference at the end of the day, but we didn't really get emotional about it. But things were very bad. We were even at the verge, at some point things were very tight, but we really had to fight for our relationship. And for me, in that season, I really struggled with the tribal issue, because I'm a Christian, and we ought to live as Kenyans, not just people from different tribal backgrounds. We need to celebrate our cultures, but not really get into our tribal things. So one of the reasons I married a Kikuyu was that I wanted to be a champion to fight against tribalism. And I said the last person I'll marry is either a Jaluo or a Luya. And I said, let them be the last people if God wills, let him give me a Kikuyu. And that is what he did.
And did your friends like Grace discourage you? You're marrying someone from a different community.
I think for me, the challenge was from my family. I think it took time for them to accept. It was a little bit difficult for them, but through prayer, eventually they were okay. They even supported us greatly during our wedding. So we saw God, because even through the relationship, we did it through prayers.
Yeah.
Because at times it would get hard, and you, maybe your parent tells you, no, that's not the way to go, and you won't rebel. At the same time, you don't want to rebel. So God came through for us, and that's how we ended up together. But from friends, no. Yeah.
And could you encourage like someone to get married to another community?
Yes, I think for me, being married to Ken, I married my friend. To this date, I've never thought of him on tribal lines. Like I've never thought, like I am married to a Luya. For me, he's just a friend, someone we get along very well. We really communicate and understand each other well. So for me, I think marry your friend, regardless.
Wow.
It doesn't matter where they come from, though. The family is also, there's that issue of family and culture and all that. But if you found a friend who is in Christ, I think just marry your friend.
Wow, a friend in Christ. I love that. Wow. And let me ask you, and what about like the way you like the food thing, the naming of children? How do you go about it?
For us, we decided we wouldn't name our children after anyone, like maybe parents or maybe relatives. But when our first son was born, I think it was a season where the dad was really sick, and at some point we had to make a decision, and we named our first child after the dad. Our second, we've not named her after anyone.
Okay.
So we've never had like issues on naming. We just agree.
What about the pressure of other, like your parents? Unajua si wa Kikuyu, we love naming, you know, your side mothers, and you know, like how was it? Akukona.
My parents are really calm.
Wow.
Like they don't interfere. They'll just go by what we decide. Yes.
Wow, that's lovely. That's lovely. So Ken, take us to that journey. How did it happen? You know, like you being sick, you know, like we hear COVID, you know, like, and at times it, you know, like when you hear, you know, everyone now has that, like now people are really passing on, you know, like COVID is real, you know, like what really happened, like that day? You take us through that day.
Yeah, I think let me just take it back. You know, before my mom passed on like 3 years ago, but you know, then my dad, my parents died in a span of two years. Once my dad passed on, 2 years later my mom passed on too.
And I knew your mom.
Yes, she's a one. Yeah, God bless her. So yeah, so there was a lot of pressure. There was a lot of pressure at work and home financially, because you're really trying to help mom to get better. So we were really strained and stretched. And in that season I got diabetes. So it hit me hard. So you know what COVID means with diabetes. So I really tried my best to keep myself from the disease. I wore mask. I used to wash my hands and all that. So one day I talked to my sister. I wanted to take my children to her place because they were just closing. So it was last year. So I decided to take them on a Thursday, then pick them on the following day, week on a Monday. So I dropped them. Then on Sunday evening I started feeling funny. So that morning I was supposed to pick our children. So I started feeling funny. So I told Linda. Linda is my sister. I told her, you know, I have to really rest because I'm not feeling very well. So maybe I could pick the children a day later. So she said, don't worry. As long as they're here, they're safe. So you can pick them later. So Monday, Tuesday, I was still feeling bad. She got some meds for me.
How were you feeling?
I was feeling tired, feverish. I had headache. I wasn't coughing. So for me, I thought it was just. In fact, the previous Sunday I had ministered in church very well, and then came back home. So I started having it like a sore throat. So I felt maybe it's because I've not sung for a while. So then she brought some antibiotics. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, hey, Friday, got to Friday, I was not feeling well. I told Grace, you need to come back home since she had gone to work. Please come back home and take me to hospital. So she came. We went to hospital. We also went with my brother called Adila. Yeah, on a Friday. So we went, they did some tests, and the doctor said that they did some urine test and stool, and then they took some stool test, and they told me that I have amoeba. So I knew that it was amoeba. So they gave me some meds on Friday, took them. On Saturday, still not feeling well. So Sunday I went to church again. Feeling very weak.
And at that time, were you taking precautions? Like, are you still washing your hands?
Yeah, everything.
And COVID is not even here.
COVID is not in my head. Because now, of course, telling us I have amoeba, then I know these were the results of my symptoms. And they said the amoeba is quite it's quite numerous in the body, the amoeba itself. So on Sunday, I went to church. I led worship. Soon after we went back home, I was now feeling very bad. So we went to the chemist, I started coughing now that Sunday. So we got some cough syrup and then went home. So that Sunday afternoon, I just sat in one place. So by the time we got to 7, Grace had left to see we are neighbors with my brother. So he had gone to tell Adila, now Ken is not very well, so maybe we need to get some more, and maybe some painkiller to help with the fevers, because the fevers were really going up.
Grace, were you thinking about anything like COVID when he's that sick, you're there?
Actually, no. I wasn't thinking of COVID. But now, that particular Sunday when he started coughing, that's when I thought, wow, this might be COVID. And when we went to the chemist and we got the medicine and went back home, he took the medicine, and then he would tell me that after he takes the medicine, he's feeling a little bit better. So I was still hopeful. But now by the time it was evening, his fevers were really high.
Wow.
So when I went to Michelle's place, now Michelle is Adila's wife. So when I went to her place, we talked with Adila, told Adila how Ken is feeling. So I also borrowed the thermogun because mine had spoiled. So I borrowed the thermogun so that I can have it in the house for me to keep checking on. Yes. So at that particular time, Adila was going to the supermarket. So he went, brought some medicine, and then when he came, he called me to go take the medicine. That's when I told him, because of how I'd left Ken in the house, you'll just come and see Ken. And then you'll be able to maybe advise if we'll need to go to the hospital tomorrow or even tonight. So that's when he came. He was really sick. So we gave him the medicine. He said that maybe we give it time and check if tomorrow he'll be feeling better. Of course, in our head we are thinking it's still amoeba and maybe a cold or something. So we gave him the painkillers and we slept. So it's at maybe at night, that's when I felt, hey, this man is really hot. So I woke up and used the thermogun to check.
And was he eating at that time?
No, even eating. I would go to school, I would go to work, leave work early so that I would come, maybe have him eat, because you remember this time you're only the two of us, our children are still at Linda's place. So come, give him something to eat, but he wasn't feeding well. So that particular night, in the middle of the night, checked the temperature. So that's when we saw that the temperature is now at 39.
Wow.
So woke him up, told him, hey, go to the bathroom. You need to ujimwagia maji, like so that he can feel a little bit better. So that's what he did. And while he was after he had finished, he coughed. After he coughed, then there was sputum that came out, and when he when he removed it from his mouth, it had blood.
Oh my God.
So that's when we thought, did we see what we saw? And then we said, okay, probably. And actually I didn't tell him to cough again and remove. Yes. Yeah. So inilo unaona unanyamaza, and you're thinking, what could this
And that
be?
time, what is going on in your mind when you see blood?
That scared me. Actually, when he coughed and I saw blood, it scared me.
Wow.
Yes. So went back to sleep after he had taken out the medicine again and he had taken the shower. The fever started coming down. So by the time we were sleeping again, it was at 37. So we slept. So the following morning when we woke up, because of the night was a little bit long. So I borrowed permission from work. I told them I won't be going to work. They give me permission. So that was on Monday morning. They give me permission so that I can take him we can take him to the hospital. By that time now we had agreed with the dealer that Monday morning we are taking him to the hospital. Yes.
Wow. Wow. Hey, Ken. Okay, what happened? You went to the hospital.
Yeah. You know, we prepared in the morning. In fact, we didn't have cash. So we were thinking on the cheapest hospital to go. So they're still contemplating. Her friends, there are two of our friends they work with, and they are very gracious. They sent us some money.
Wow, God bless them.
And that's how we were able to now go to Avenue. But before we left, I brushed my teeth, then I coughed again. More blood came out. Then we knew there was a problem. So we went to a dealer's place, waited for him to freshen up, then we left.
And that time, do you have like chest pains or?
Just an irritation.
And I hear people also lose weight at that period of short time.
Yeah, they lose weight because one of the things that happens is that you lose your appetite. So you don't. Yeah. So for me, I wasn't eating much. So we went to hospital, and we got there. I went to the triage. So while they were still waiting, checking on me, I noticed that the nurse just left. So I don't know what was. So my wife tells me that they were talking outside. They had a small meeting.
And actually, when we went, you know, Avenue, the triage is a little bit small, so you can't go in, the two of you. So he went in. So they checked him. And then I'm here seated just beside the triage. I see the nurses come, they call each other, then they start discussing.
Oh my God.
Then they come to me and ask, "Are you the one with him?"
Yeah.
And then I tell them, "Yes." Now we won't check you from here. We need to take you somewhere where he'll be checked.
You being checked.
Okay, so by that time they've taken the temperatures, checked the oxygen levels, and all the things that they do while they're checking the first checkup. So that's when they took us around somewhere up the stairs. We went. By that time he's really weak, even walking. So we went somewhere at the back there, and then when you're approaching that place, that's where you saw the rooms are very, like, they've been sanitized. Then you see the door is written isolation room 1.
Oh my goodness.
Then there's isolation room 2. So we were taken to isolation room 1. Then immediately Ken is in, you see someone coming with a mtungi
Oh God.
oxygen. They're coming. Then kidogo they have the syringes putting medicine on him, and all of a sudden he has a mask on. They've put a mask on, and this time they've even not told me or told us like what's happening. So that's when we asked, "Oh, okay, so we're in isolation room, so you're suspecting it could be COVID." So that's when they explained that his oxygen level he has dropped, is down, and they need to put him on oxygen. So we were there. So they started putting oxygen on him as now. Then they told me to go and start processing for his admission.
Wow.
Yeah, so they told us that they will take the COVID test on that particular day. The results would be out in like 2 days. Is it 2 or 48 hours? Yes. So they told me to go and start processing for his admission. So, and then I asked, when is the doctor coming to see us? Because I think this was just, they were just managing the situation. So that's when I went down there, and we were told that the doctor will come see us at the room where he was. So when we went down there where they do the admission process, apparently there were no beds. Remember, that was the second wave. So
Wow. Let's
yes.
take a short break, and we'll just be right back.
All right.
Okay. Wow, we have Ken and Grace, and they're just telling us about the experience they had with COVID. You know, COVID is real, and please take precautions out there. And Grace, you are telling us the way you were told to go somewhere in the room, and
Yeah. So I went to book for his admission. So when I went to book for his admission, the hospital was full. So they had no beds for COVID patients. So that's when they told me that there are patients who are waiting to be discharged. They just need to, like they have bills to clear. So once they clear their bills, they'll be discharged. So we might get a bed by the end of the day. And that's when I asked what would be the requirements for us to be admitted, like what did they need. So they needed an upfront of 100,000 deposit so that they will be able to admit him. So we are looking at a situation here. We have no money. We don't have such an amount. So I went back to the room. So while still there and still keeping Ken company, I had the room that we were in. There was a window behind. So I'm standing there and I'm feeling like I started hearing this, like there are some people crying behind me. Then I just, the curious me. So I went, started peeping to see what's happening behind there. Apparently that's where when someone dies, that's where they drive you, like yes, that's why I don't know where they drive you to, whether they're taking you out of the hospital or getting you in or taking you to the morgue, but there was a body that was passing there. And apparently it was someone who had died of COVID. That really scared me because I would see the clothes that they had put on, and the lady beside there, they are really crying. Then these people have all these regardless that they put on for COVID, and I was thinking, what? So here Ken is here, he's really sick, he has COVID, he has all these pre-existing conditions. So is this a death sentence? So that's what was running through my mind. Yes. So apparently, but by the time the day, we stayed there for quite some time. And by the time it was evening, they still hadn't found a bed. Yes.
you were still just there.
But still at the same time, we did not have that money. So we started looking for other options, and we told the doctor, I think you should go home and go back to the drawing board. But the doctor told us, do it at your own risk because your oxygens are low. In fact, that's the reason why we are admitting you. It's not because you're very sick, but because your oxygen levels are low. So we got to call a lady who is a friend at Metropolitan. She told us there is space. So we told the doctor to give us a referral. So that's when he wrote that letter. We came over to Metropolitan.
And they agreed to give you and you are still on oxygen. Oh, okay.
At least they had managed the situation, but they told us, I was still on IV. So they told us we have to get there as soon as possible. So that's how we came. We were admitted, and
did you clear the bills, or was it like free that time when you?
No, it wasn't free, because in fact the exact money that was sent to her is what was paid for the management. Exact. It was just miraculous. Yes. So we got here, and they did another new round of tests, because now we are getting in a different space. So by the time I was at Metropolitan, I was very bad. I was extreme. I could not even walk. So I was being pushed by through that's just a wheelchair, and they took the X-ray, and they found that the pneumonia was acute. So for me, I just even wondered, how was I able to even sing on Sunday, the previous day, because the whole area was infected. And then so I was admitted. So the first 2 days I was not responding to medication at all, because the disease was still spreading, the virus was still spreading, and my sugars were misbehaving. It went up to 23. They were trying to bring it down. There's a steroid that you're injected to help to help activate the lungs, because the lungs are full of mucus, and once they get stuck, you stop breathing, and that's how you die. So the steroid worked against me because it was spiking the sugars even high. So they stopped using the steroid, and not using the steroid affects the lungs also. So it was a watch and wait. In fact, the doctor told them, you know, he has to fight, his body has to fight the disease. We cannot do anything. We are trying to just manage. And Grace was still asking how. So when do we expect him to begin to recover? I said it's up to his body. There's nothing we can do. So it's a watch and wait.
And what was going on in your mind at that time?
The way I was feeling, I knew there was I may not make it, you know. And even the doctor said, even if you get to the ICU, don't worry, we'll still believe. For me, I don't want him to get to the ICU myself. So it was on Tuesday, Grace came, I told her, you know what, I'm really not sure whether things are going to make it, because the way I'm feeling, but I want you to know that I love you and I love our children. What? You know, because that morning I saw somebody die next to me, and he had gone to the bathroom, took a shower, came back, and he collapsed. Yet he's not even on oxygen, but unfortunately he passed on. His organs failed. So I'm here myself, I'm struggling to breathe. And I'm really asking myself, if this guy he can even walk, who am I? So I found myself getting to that place in the valley of the shadow of death, just wondering where. Yeah, I knew that I'm going to make it in heaven. I'd made peace with my God, but deep inside I knew I'm leaving a very young family, and I don't know who will take care of them. Yeah.
Wow, Grace. After him telling you that he loves you, what was going on in your mind?
Actually, I think the day he got admitted. I remember he got admitted on Monday. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, I would go there every day, just hoping that I would see him. And they would allow, you know, they had isolated him. So I would go there hoping they would allow me in. Allow me to see him. At some point, there's a way they allowed me. I was able to talk to him at quite some distance. Okay. Yes, and I would take to him like I would make ginger and lemon and take it to him. But every time I came out of hospital, in my head I would see us having these committees for funeral, planning for funeral. By that time, the devil had really lied to me that whatever Ken is suffering from is headed to death, and it's a death sentence. And you know, by that time, I had not had anyone who had pre-existing conditions and they had survived COVID. So in my head, I was thinking, if this is it, I even started asking around, have you had someone who had pre-existing condition and they survived from COVID? So apparently I couldn't find anyone. No one told me they had. So I knew, oh, this is headed to death. So I would cry. Like I would cry every other day. Even there are times I would go to a restaurant, just sit there and cry, then go home. By that time he's in hospital, I'm all alone in the house. But thank God for Adila and Michelle who lived, they still live just close to us. So I would go to their home, we would talk. They would encourage me. And I remember this particular Wednesday when we really talked and God really ministered that day. That's when my eyes opened and I was like, by the way, we still have we still have to fight. We still have to fight through prayers. And I remember that day we prayed with Adila and Michelle. And I think I went home at around 2. I went home at around 2. So when I went home, I continued praying. And the following morning on Thursday, that's when the results actually came. And he was said to be positive, and he was still doing bad. I remember that day I went to the hospital on Thursday. He was still coughing blood.
What?
And
On
they
that
had they had restricted him to his room, no using the bathroom, the washroom. They would, he was doing everything inside the room where he was. So it was a very long journey for me, especially those days when he was in hospital, even when he was giving me his personal things to take back home.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
So
you can continue.
so that day he tested positive. Yeah, so he was still coughing blood, and he was still having this looked weak. But after the Wednesday that we prayed with Adila, and we had actually a group of people who were praying with us, and the family really surrounded us. Ken's family, my family, and our friends who were praying with us. And we believe then on Fridays when we see Ken, and he was really he looked different. He was really psyched up. Given him a gadget he was using for breathing, for doing the breathing exercise. There were these exercises they were doing on him, and that's when we started to see now things changing.
Wow. Did he ever go to like ICU or?
No.
Oh.
No, he
wow.
didn't go to ICU, which we thank God for, because most people who went to ICU who were with him, most of them never made it.
We thank God.
Yes.
And going through that, how did it make you to be, you know, like to be together, like, you know, the love? How did it just?
It's actually at that point that you realize, well, losing someone important in your life, it's quite something. And I think I value him more. Yeah, for me, I think I value him more, and always grateful for health. When you see yourself healthy and doing well, you go out and come in, still at the risk of contacting COVID again, but we come back home safely. You have reasons to thank God. Yes.
And were you ever like tested also? Like during that time, did they tell you, because you were always together?
Actually, they wanted me to be tested, but I think I was preoccupied with what was happening with Ken. I didn't think I was sick, but I couldn't feel myself. I lost taste. I couldn't smell. I wasn't eating. I think I went through my own, at my own pace, differently, got better even. Because even by the time he got sick, I had a sore throat myself. And when I took the antibiotic that I took, mine went. So I think I dealt with mine before it got worse. Yes. But now I never got tested because we were still running up and about, still taking care of him. Yeah.
Wow.
But I got better.
Wow. Wow. Ken, let me ask you, and what was going through your mind? Like now you have your wife, you have your children. How do you take life now, and especially your love and your marriage?
I think I don't take life for granted at all. I don't take marriage for granted. I don't take family for granted. I think I've told her so many times, I value my family more than any other thing, and I would spend more time with my family, because they're the people who, if anything, they're going to bury me. If I die, they're going to bury me. I don't take them for granted at all. I don't take Grace for granted. I love her more than before, because of what happened and what I realized I could have lost them, you know. I realized that COVID does not give you it's a death sentence sometimes to some people, and sometimes it doesn't give you notice that you need to put your house in order. So for me, I celebrate family more after this experience. Yes.
And I love the way Grace was just there. You know, at times in marriages, the only person who will be there, it's your wife or your husband. Because you are there throughout. You never went. You know, that is just real love. Like she was just there throughout. You know, she's crying, you know, and she's always there. And you know, at times people think that, you know, when you go through challenges, there are people out there who will just come to your rescue, but it's only your wife or your husband.
Let me say one. Some people, when at their deathbed, they'll remember their moms. They'll think of their children. They'll never think of their wives. You know, for me, I know that, you know, mothers are good, mothers are important, children are important. But at the end of the day, when these children grow old, they will live and go to live there in their own places. Who do you remain with? So I realized once I sent the children away to my the two of us, and she was the one taking care of me through and through. She'd make sure she brought fruits, she'd make sure she cooks food, she'd make sure everything is done for me. And I really appreciated that, because I know she is my, you know, she's my all-in-all. Yes.
And she's always going to be there.
Yes.
I love the way you say that, you know, when you go through the valley of the shadow of death, that is now the time you know the real person. Yes. Because many people are breaking up because of sicknesses. Many people are breaking up because of finances. And that time you told us you didn't even have money that time. But people just came through, and God also came through. And you know, people are running from everywhere looking for what do you call, looking for other people to love. You know, at that time, the only person that Ken could think of is you, you know, and your children, and that is just so beautiful. So beautiful. I love that. I love that. And Grace, tell us, and all you are going all through this in your mind. And what about now your friends? Like, did they ever like that? You know, like, did you ever tell like people the way you were suffering from? And you know, like now when people hear people have COVID, they are just, you know, you're like put aside. Yeah. How was it?
For me, actually, let me start. For us, we have always been cautious about putting on the masks, washing hands. So at some point, we are grateful to God that we interacted so much with our friends, even during this time when he was sick. Myself, I interacted with friends, even like closely. But we thank God that they never contacted the disease from us. Ken sang on Sunday, and he was at the peak of his, like, he was really sick on that particular Sunday. But we are grateful to God that no one came out of there sick, and because they were exposed. So I think, and then we have the friends that we have, we thank God for them. They prayed for us. They were there for us. And our family, we cannot forget them.
Wow.
The family was there for them, even in settling the bill. The bill was really high. The amount was humongous. And the family really came through for us.
Wow.
Yeah, and some friends. So we are really grateful to God, because we saw the hand of God working through these people he had put around us.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. What do you want to tell people out there, Ken? What you went through, and being close to your wife, the disease, what could you like to tell people? You just have few.
Yeah, I'd like to say that, you know, if you need to stay safe, the disease is still out there. I think it's that God has allowed this disease to come so that he can bring families together. We are so busy with life. We're so busy trying to make money. We're so busy trying to make ends meet. But we forget about the most excellent thing, that God has given us, the gift of family. That we need to invest a lot, our time, our finances with our families. Yes. Yes.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming. And your story was it's just like a movie, you know, like when you watch a movie, it is just so real. And if you're out there, just take precaution. You know, COVID is real, and please wash your hands, do whatever you've been told to do. And thank you so much, Grace. Thank you so much, Ken. I believe someone is going to be encouraged. And you know, I love the book of Psalms 91, that God is always protecting us. When you go through the valley of the shadow of death, he's always there with us. At times we may never see, but he's always there with us. Thank you so much. This is EBN. I'm your host, Julia More, and this is Penzi Halisi. See you next time. God bless you.